Welcome. Good afternoon, Debbie. It's Wednesday and the world's insane.
The world's completely crazy, but yeah, it's Wednesday. Great to be back. We've got a special program today too.
We got some of your old friends to bring on screen, haven't we?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Who should we bring on then?
Who should we bring on? Well, for those watching, you probably haven't seen us on screen together for a while, but we won't stay apart because we're all together in this. So first of all, let's introduce, I feel like a drum roll, Sandi Adams. Let's see, Sandi. Are you there, Sandi?
I am indeed, Debbie, and it's so nice to be with you here today, and thanks for having me on.
It's just great, and it's kind of like this amazing. It's like when buses come, and then they all come at once. And now I can say, as if by I won't say the word magic, but Cheryl Grainger, where are you, Cheryl Grainger?
There we go.
Yeah, and great. Here we are, and I just want to say thank you so much, ladies, because it's great to be back with you. Nothing will divide us at all. I hope there's plenty of people in the chat. Good afternoon, Rao. Very quickly, just for a few seconds, for those that haven't seen us before and that may be just paging in for the first time, let me just explain that I'm a bit of an NHS, MHRA buff. I like to keep my eyes on what's going on, especially in the UK. Sandi, give us a few seconds of all your amazing 2030 Agenda 2030 work.
Well, oh gosh, what have I been doing? I've been really doing a lot of interviews. I'm looking at the moment at Ireland because I was out in Ireland in 2023. And I was shocked because I was invited to a festival out there called the Think Local Festival. And there was a lot of really good speakers like Ivor Cummings and Matthias Desmet, Dr. Matthias Desmet. And we were all gathering for a conference, really. And we were cancelled. We were cancelled over and over again. It had been booked in one hotel that we all arrived at. And then suddenly we were told it had been cancelled. And we were far right extremists, and that we couldn't have our conference there. So bless them, the organisers were amazing. It was a guy called Ronan, and he organised it again. And we went to 3 different hotels, and eventually we kind of gave up. And we did we filmed it. We hired a room in a hotel and filmed it, but the public weren't allowed to come. So the Garda, the Irish police, were chasing us from one hotel to another. And what I couldn't believe was how the whispering campaign amongst the hotel owners was off the scale. They were terrified. They were terrified of being prosecuted by the Garda for supporting right-wing views. And I saw the writing on the wall there. And at that conference was a lovely lady called Jana London, spelled Lunden. And I did a fantastic podcast with her about the destruction of Ireland, and it's a playbook and it's the same way they're going to, they're pushing the destruction of the UK and the rest of Europe. But Ireland, it's almost like it's magnified there. The rollout of the 17 goals there is at 80% of uptake of the 17 goals. Most places in Europe is somewhere between 14 to 17%, including the UK, and they are absolutely being broken. And it's always been a laboratory island, and I've got Irish heritage, so for me it's almost like my homeland that's being completely destroyed, and I find it really distressing. And there is a lot of pushback, and if Ireland can push back, perhaps it can be a pushback for everyone, for the whole of the West.
Well, I know that you're going to be talking a bit more in a bit about Agenda 2030 farming, and your great relationship with the farmers, and the fact that they're feeling not so great at the moment. So hopefully we can use this opportunity to buoy everyone up. And also we've got now Cheryl Grainger. Many people who have seen me before will have known that I've done loads of work with Cheryl regarding MHRA. But Cheryl, you're a very, very special lady, and you hold a very, very dear place in my heart, because I know how many millions of hours work and how many hurdles you had to jump and how much you had to invest into taking the MHRA to tribunal, which you did. And Cheryl is an independent pharmaceutical you're a training consultant, are you, Cheryl? Tell us, just tell us very briefly.
Yeah, I mean, I train medical reps through an exam they have to take, which is why I've been wide awake since the start, because all the things I trained them in was linked to what was going on in 2020. And so it gave me a very good background to what was happening. And I understood quite a lot of it science-wise, because I come from the right background. So I don't know, I love the truth, and I didn't understand why we weren't getting the truth. And that's why, I suppose that's led me through the freedom of information route, hasn't it? That's why I've gone after the MHRA to try and get information out of them, especially when they spouted forth that they have the information, which is what they did with the yellow card vaccine monitor. Anyway, I finally got them to a tribunal, as you know, and I'm trying to spread the word about that still. Because it's very important. They need to, you know, it needs to be heard. It needs to be heard by
And people. What they revealed was absolutely shocking, and you're going to be revealing an absolutely shocking statistic. I mean, it really is shocking. And we're going to be talking about the MHRA and their next board meeting too. And straight back to you, because us girls, we've got a few years behind us as well, and we remember what times used to be like. We remember how things used to be done, and we remember how humanity used to operate. So we've got quite a few years behind us in life experience too.
Yeah, and the agendas are clearly anti-human, as we know, as they're pushing us forward into the transhumanism agenda 2030 and everything else that Sandi's fully aware of and done a lot of work in. We building this awareness is crucial to not complying, because you're never going to comply out of tyranny, as we know, and unfortunately we are still under attack massively. And awareness is key, and hence why these conversations are really important. I'm sure the people that watch our show, Debi, are fully appreciative of the work that you do. And obviously it's great to have Sandi and Cheryl here as well. Bit of a coup, bit of a reunion going on, so it's all good. But I thought we'd start with the news that came through regarding the hantavirus. I've got a couple of clips maybe, and then Debi, maybe you can discuss.
Oh, that. I'd love to.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so yeah.
We have. Well, let's start with the Sky News put out this article the other day. So the cruise ship. So a new rat virus case confirmed as 3 evacuated by medics in hazmat suits. Now this is like going back a few years, isn't it? It feels like we're back in 2020 all of a sudden.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, Sky News actually put out this little clip, so I thought we'd play that, and then we can jump on some of the things that you found, Debi, if that's all right with you. Let's throw this Sky News report out.
Start with breaking news this evening, and that is that South Africa's health department says a British tourist is being treated in hospital after a suspected hantavirus outbreak on board a cruise ship. 3 people are known to have died on board the vessel. The British man is said to have fallen ill while the ship was travelling from St Helena to Accession Island. His laboratory test results came back positive for hantavirus. Well, the Foreign Office has just released a statement saying we are closely monitoring reports of a potential hantavirus outbreak on the cruise ship Hondius and stand ready to support British nationals if needed. We are in touch with the cruise company and local authorities. We start with breaking news this evening, and that is that...
What's the scoop here then, Debbie? What's going on?
I'm not just seeing rats, I'm smelling a few rats. So I've made a ton of notes, and I really want to make sure that we get lots from Sandi and Cheryl today. So forgive me while if you hear the rustling of paper or me reading from notes, because there's a lot to say. So number one, there's never been any cases of hantavirus ever before on a cruise ship. So this is the first time. This has now been identified as the Andes virus. So this is a hantavirus Andes virus. It was first described in Argentina, South America. Just remember that, South America. And it was identified in Chile later in 1995. Now, the cause of hantavirus cardiopulmonary syndrome is the long-tailed pygmy rice rat. That's what causes it. And this is the only hantavirus, how convenient, that can be acquired from human to human through rodent droppings or contact with infected rats. And conveniently, there's loads of different strains, and it's most prevalent in spring and summer. Oh, that's another tick box, isn't it? But no one knows quite how transmission happens. So they're presuming this is aerosol inhalation. So when we look at the incubation, it can be anything from 4 days to 8 weeks. So, oh dear, that's going to be a lot of tracking and tracing, isn't it? The symptoms, they're flu-like. Convenient. It starts off with fever and chills, aches, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pains, generally feeling a bit off. But then things get really bad and you get a low blood pressure, difficulties breathing, cough, respiratory failure, hemorrhage, cardiac arrhythmias, seizures, sometimes meningitis, neurological impairments, and renal impairment. So it's not terribly pleasant. So these are the points to note. So I reported quite a long time ago about a document that I'd found from the World Health Organization, which was published in May 2022. Now, this document was called The Strengthening Global Architecture for Health Emergency Preparedness and Response. Now, they had a little chart. There it is. Thank you, Ant. And this is called Increasing Number and Scale of Health Emergencies from All Hazards. Now, just look in South America there. And I think that's just North America too. I've highlighted it in pink, but actually under the pink, it's in red, and that's hantavirus. Now, this paper was published in 2022. So it's almost like they were kind of planning it, different epidemics in different parts of the world. And of course, with travel, they don't want us to travel, remember, with travel, these particular epidemics can spread. So that's point number one. Just remember that, because that was in 2022. So going back to the start of this hantavirus breakout, this was a cruise ship, right? So anybody remember the Diamond Princess? Because that was when the COVID pandemic broke out and this ship wasn't allowed to dock in Japan. Well, I hear that from today, Spain has actually given permission for the motor vessel Hondius, which is the cruise ship that's affected, which was stuck at Cape Verde. They've given permission for it to dock. Now, many of you may have heard that this hantavirus, which is broken out on this cruise ship, which was the company's called Ocean Wide, by the way, and they do these exotic cruises, Antarctica, Falkland Islands, where else? Ascension Islands, Cape Verde. Now, what's really weird is that there was this guy that came out with this sort of video going, "Don't forget us, I'm trapped on this cruise ship and we're really scared and I'm really worried and please don't forget us." Well, it turns out that this is a travel vlogger. He's a social influencer. He's been on this cruise before. he seems to be supported by Oceanwide, which are the company that belongs to the cruise ship belongs to. And he's been on these expedition trips before and taken pictures of penguins and stuff. Now, this video that he put out, panicking, sort of saying, don't forget us, he didn't put it out on his own channels. He just gave it to mainstream media to
Should we
put out.
play it, Debbie? We've got it.
Yeah, do.
Should we play it? Yeah.
But I feel like I need to say something, so I wrote a few things down. I am currently on board the MV Hondias, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us here. We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people. People with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part. All we want right now is to feel safe, to have clarity, and to get home. So if you're seeing coverage about this, just remember that there are real people behind it, and that this isn't something happening somewhere far away. It's happening. Make a video like this.
I think you need to
but I
a
feel like I need to
teleprompter.
say
I don't know what
something,
you
so I
think.
wrote a
but
few
He
things
say
down.
that again. Sorry, I
I'm
didn't quite hear
currently
that.
on board
I think
the
he needs a
MV
better teleprompter.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it seems completely staged, and you know, it costs between £16,000 and £25,000 to go on one of these expeditions. So, you know, this guy doesn't sound very genuine to me. But he's now had 5.6 million views and stuff on this, but it's not on his channel, so it's all a little bit weird. But he's a brand ambassador, I think, for Oceanwide. And I mean, we can't forget that 3 people have died, and I know, Cheryl, you're going to jump in a minute about tuberculosis, but 3 people have died and 7 cases apparently. Now the ship's doctor's got it. So a couple of things that I wanted to say were conveniently, lucky for everybody, isn't it? And I think you'll have something more to say about this, Cheryl. But Moderna and Korea University have been ever so busy, and they've got an mRNA vaccine on the way, because you know what? The WHO have actually selected hantavirus as one of the disease X pathogens, as one of the candidates, because you know they're absolutely searching for disease X. But how lucky that we have an mRNA injection on the way. I mean, that's just so. There you go. Dr. Siak explained just there. The World Health Organization has selected hantavirus as one of the disease X pathogens that can now trigger new infectious diseases, and there is an urgent need to develop new vaccines effective against a wide range of subtypes. So there you go. That's coming. So to finish off really on this little section of hantavirus, because there is so much controversy, the dates are very important. When did the ship depart from Argentina? Did it depart, as the WHO said, on the 1st of April? Or, according to Africa CDC, the ship left on the 20th of March? However, one person died on the 11th of April, and the body wasn't removed, apparently, till the 24th of April. So are they saying that they had a dead body? I'm not quite sure. I think this needs to be checked out. But there's obviously anomalies going there. And the other thing, of course, is that with regards to rats, we haven't had rat policing in the UK, or I don't know, in any other country really, for a very long time. We used to have pest control. We used to have the rat man. We used to have all of this, but we don't have it anymore. But on boats, now I can't remember where I've written it. Here it is. They have rat guards on mooring lines, so to prevent rats getting on ships, although I think we've probably got quite a lot of globalist rats that are falling off and sinking ships at the moment. So that's my little bit on hantavirus, and I would say I'm not buying it, folks. There's too much wrong with it. And I know, Cheryl, you probably want to jump in with everybody's panicking about 3 deaths on a ship, whereas you've got an interesting statistic to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, they're testing using PCR.
Of course.
It fills you with hope, doesn't it? I mean, the Diamond Princess showed that because that was the containment for supposedly coronavirus, it showed that it wasn't a big problem, really. You know, I mean, the age of people on cruises, this might not be the same on that cruise because they were active ones, weren't they? They were doing active things. But to actually start spreading this news with 3 people dead, which is exactly what they did with meningitis, you know, 31 people had died the year before with meningitis, but all of a sudden 3 people died in one place, and then it was found they weren't possibly dying of meningitis, then this was all blown up. So it's the link to news items. And Carl Hennigan, Professor Hennigan, has put up a Substack, and there's some sort of formula that people have used over the time as to how bad the problem is and the news items that you get, the number of news items. And this is hitting the spot. So you take something like TB that has 1.23 million deaths in 24 in a year, and nothing's said. But then all of a sudden you get these pockets of 3 people died of something that's a virus. So what is a virus? That's another question, isn't it? But the number of newspaper items, television items that are linked to that is off the scale. And they're saying the same thing. They've been given the script. So it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Sandi, have you got anything to say about hantavirus?
Well, you know, I've sort of only glossed over that because there's been so many of these viruses. You know, we had monkeypox and the avian flu and everything, and they keep trying, but nothing ever really blows up about it. I mean, I might be wrong this time, who knows? But I tend to look at it like a passing cloud. Oh, they're doing that again, are they? So I don't really take it seriously, and I know it's awful that obviously 3 people have died from something. But, you know, it's just the way they're manipulating it all. And I tend to try not engage too much. But
well, I go back to that map of the WHO in 2022, where they're clearly highlighting hantavirus. And I'm going, you must have known it's in plain sight. And what do you think?
Oh, it's the usual stuff, Debbie, isn't it? It's just to ramp up the fear. I mean, like we were saying before about the meningitis, that was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
they were ramping up the fear. And there's always an injection to save the day, isn't there? There's always, you know, it's already there, ready, you know, to let's just inject people this mRNA toxic crap, basically. And you know, they're desperate to get it into people's arms, whichever way they can do it. They're trying to get it in you.
Unfortunately, there's plenty of people that are going to queue up and get it because they are scared.
Yeah,
they're genuinely scared.
What people need to know is that if it's a deadly thing like Ebola, it doesn't spread because it kills you. It puts you in your bed, it kills you. You can't pass it to the next person. So you don't get epidemics, pandemics out of things that are very lethal. They die off because the people who got them have died before they passed it all on. So people need to know that. You know, you have more chance of minor things spreading.
Yeah, good point.
If there's ever been a pandemic, so that's another discussion for another day.
A good point. I'd like to remind people about, you know, I think Fauci's been questioned this week, and he was caught off camera. So I've got a little video clip which I think is important because it will remind, hopefully, those that maybe, or even let people know, those that weren't aware of what was going on in 2020, what these people are really up to. So let's play Fauci.
We're going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated. Yeah. Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Thank you. Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bullshit, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and that's not what I was referring to.
Well, that's exactly what you meant when you said making it hard for people to live without getting a vaccination. You affected people's ability to work, travel, be educated, to actually flourish in American society, to self-determine, as we're all given God-given rights. Shame on you.
You were going to have schools.
Shame on these people. And they'll never forget, never to be forgiven, never to be forgotten.
Yeah, my worst nightmare is Trump giving him a pardon.
But the American system at least allows somebody to question these people. And that's what we don't have. So you go through all the rigmarole. I mean, when I tried to ask the MHRA board meeting a question, I got shut down when I came back at them and said they hadn't answered it properly and asked them something else. This is not the platform. Well, we don't have a platform. That's the problem. We can't ask of our people in power what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yeah, it continues, doesn't it? I mean, you've got the same over here in this country. Hancock, you know, we it's the same. They just keep getting away with it, don't they? They ramp up the fear. People are terrified as they were in 2020. I don't know if they'll get away with it like they did in 2020. I think more people are wiser, and a lot of people maybe regret taking the injection as well. So, but there are a massive population as well that is in fear, and especially the older population in this country that do live in fear. And if the BBC say you're going to have to take this stuff, then they're likely to queue up.
Yeah. Can I say that the guy underneath Fauci's been arrested? So that's why they're after Fauci now being arrested. But they've only got till the 11th, I think. But they will be able to do him on other things apparently. So I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, I know what you and I, Cheryl, have done a podcast only recently, haven't we, regarding the falling birth rates due to this mRNA technology. And Boris Johnson wrote an article the other day. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was in the Daily Mail. And he's basically saying that falling birth rates aren't a disaster. They're the best bit of global news in a long time, he's saying. That's convenient, isn't it, considering where he was in 2020?
Yeah, exactly.
How many children has he got?
What, 9?
9 kids.
9 kids.
And his dad, he's
Stanley. Is
Stanley.
It? Yeah, he's talked quite often about how the birth, the population needs to be reduced. I mean, he wrote that book, The Virus, didn't he? So he's definitely got eugenics leanings. I mean, I'm not saying he's a eugenicist, but he did collaborate with Planned Parenthood, I believe, for a while. So he's in with all that Malthusian thinking, definitely. Yeah.
And if we're not replacing ourselves, then the Boris wave makes more sense, doesn't it? Because we've got replacements coming in.
Yeah. And that's the playbook. It's the International Office of Migration Replacement Program, and that's what we're dealing with right now, which is causing massive division. Yeah.
Well, I think that leads well into Cheryl's work, really. I don't know if you want to bring your update on what's happening with the MHRA.
Well, we haven't been to a meeting for a while because they said they were going to have some between last one in January and now, but nothing's happened. And the only one listed on their site is July. So we have to wait a little while. They're probably doing some in private, but we're not allowed to go to those. And I've just been trying to spread the word because the MHRA are just saying nothing about this ridiculous acceptance of knowing that 1 in 7 of the people that took part in their monitor, the yellow card vaccine monitor, actually had a serious medical condition. And that reminds you, that's death, and it's hospitalization, and it's life-threatening. It's something that can disable you permanently or not, and it's congenital conditions. So that's obviously affecting babies and fetuses. So it's terrible things that can happen to people. And to say 13.7 have actually experienced this serious medical event in their data without saying that it's a problem. So they say that 51% of the people in the monitor, and there were 36,604, most of whom were vaccinated, about 30,000 that were vaccinated. 51% had at least one adverse reaction, but there were minor things. It didn't really matter. But then they go on to say, and in the preprint, they said only 13.7%, only 1 in 7 had a serious medical condition. And obviously, by the time they went to be published, then they must have been made to take that only out, because that's the most ridiculous only I've ever seen, because you can't have only 13.7%. And they're not telling anybody. So when June Rain stated at the end of 22, November 22, and the monitor was to finish in December 22, that they got this information coming through, and she was all excited because with the pregnancy data, it was going to give them a denominator so they could work out proper percentages and everything. They never did anything with it. And it was like they're all in cahoots, because the CDC had their V-Safe in the States. I mean, they obviously went a lot better than us. They had 10 million in theirs as opposed to 36,000 in ours. But they were getting the same sort of results, but not letting it go. That data was not released. And it was ICANN who took them to court and got it released. And it tells an awful lot that they didn't want to tell the truth, because the truth was what we should have known, and it was very scary. So they just put it away. So I'm trying to get this. I've got a new Substack written up on this to try and keep showing people what actually happened. But it all comes back to them being able to say mRNA is safe and effective. Going back to that again, which means that's the tick to keep producing genetic therapies. It's all linked in, because you don't need to, if it's all already been given a tick, that particular therapy, then you don't have to keep going back in and showing all the data. And the thing that I keep trying to emphasize is this working on genetics is crackers. Okay, good old northern saying, it's crackers. In my opinion, my humble opinion, you have 2 million proteins in the body. They thought you were going to have 2 million genes so that you could have one gene for each protein, to give you the code for that protein. And in the end, they found 19,900 when they did the genome, which means that each gene is responsible for about 100 proteins in the body. So you have a condition and one protein's gone wrong. So you devise this genetic therapy that's going to treat that gene that controls that protein, but they forget about the other 99 that it's actually looking after. And therefore it might solve your problem, but it might kill you. And it's understanding the full thing. And I don't know if you know, but when the genome was first done, it was based on 7 people's DNA. Right? And we're all different. We all look different. And they've just done a latest reference genome, and that had 47 people in it. So they upped the ante a bit. And we're talking about there are lots of gaps and missing regions, and they don't fully understand it. We were told that we were very similar by 1% to a monkey. But that proves now to be wrong. They stated that without actually having analysed any of the monkey chimpanzee class. And we now know that it's nearly 15% difference between the two. So there's lots of things that, they don't understand, they haven't done right. And yet let's use genetic manipulation to actually help disease. Let's take a child's genetic DNA. Let's actually record that when they're born so we can look at assessing it to see what they're going to get in the future so we can stop them getting it. They think they're very clever. I don't trust it at all.
Can I get this straight, Cheryl? Can I get this straight? So what they're saying, what the MHRA is saying is that 1 in 7 of the people that were on the monitor, 1 in 7 suffered a serious adverse reaction. And the other thing I just want to double check, because mRNA, as you say, is like a brand. It's like a brand. So it's a carrier for different things. So once it's got a tick, as you've said, it's got a tick now. mRNA has now got a tick. So it hasn't got to go through any more tests. So the hantavirus mRNA jab, for example, because the mRNA is ticked already, they can keep on rolling it out, the same thing over and over. What worries me is that when we were all talking about COVID and Moderna and Pfizer, people were talking about mRNA. It was always about, oh, did you have the mRNA jab? Only now vaccines, all of them seem to be mRNA, but everybody's oblivious to it. It's like, oh, those 4 little letters don't really matter anymore. But what you're saying is all mRNA is bad and none of us should be having mRNA at all. Have I got that right?
Yeah, because your mRNA in the body is to help copy a bit of DNA and take it to make a protein. And it's got rid of by enzymes that naturally occur in the body and get rid of it in about 5 minutes. But what they did is they modified the RNA. So the M bit is modified RNA, which means they got rid of uracil in the RNA that's naturally there and made it into a pseudo-uridine, which the body doesn't recognize, which is why it stays in your body. It can't get rid of it because it's got no enzyme to get rid of it. So we've got something that is constantly reproduced. It's wrapped up in the lipid nanoparticles, the little fatty bubble, and that gets it through the cell membrane. So it gets into the cell and there it stays, making something that is toxic to your body.
And we're continuing to roll it out in the UK with Project Stargate, cancer vaccines. It's continuing.
Yeah, and some of the cancer vaccines have been found to have a side effect of causing secondary cancers. You know, it's this downward. We know that turbo cancers are linked to the mRNA vaccines. They should not be called vaccines. They went into that category, so they didn't have to do all the testing. The oncogenic testing and genetic testing and what have you, to see what effect it had on our cells. So it's misnamed, it's being given to everybody, which doesn't make sense, and it's causing so many disastrous side effects. And the thing is, it's continuing to do so because it won't get out the body. It's something that, 30% of us didn't have it in the UK, and that's about the same in the States. So at least, there's a big chunk of people that didn't actually have it, which is good. So hopefully there's some hope, but that's why, going back to Ant and what he originally said, and Boris, that's why we're not producing. The fertility rates have reduced down very, very greatly, and it's been an attack on ovaries and testes. It's where the mRNA finds itself very quickly in the body, and these things need to be stopped.
Can I ask a question? I mean, can it be in the food chain? Because farmers are vaccinating their animals with this mRNA. So what can we get it by eating food? This is what even if you're not if you're unvaccinated, and you still get contaminated by it. And maybe it's in the air. We don't know. We don't know what they're doing, do we?
Might have changed the meat somewhat. The thing is, it's very, very difficult with biotechnology to produce a stable product because we're talking about living products. I mean, that was the problem with the mRNA itself that was given to humans, was transporting it and vibrating it and keeping it at temperatures and all the rest of it. It was affected by so many things. And Headley Rees will tell you that, when you actually manufacture these things, every time you do a different process, you're supposed to retest it for safety. They didn't do that because they had a powder that was frozen. It was a multiple dose vial, which they never had before. They added it, they defrosted it, they added in the saline. They then had to change it up and down, taking their arms very, very gently to mix it. Well, you doing that, me doing that, and, is different. So the people who were administering it might not have done that properly. And therefore the doses would have been different depending on whether it was the first or the last dose you took out the vial. There were so many things that were wrong with it, and to be cooked You know, you get your steak from your beef that's been injected, and I don't know. I mean, but it might have affected the animal.
Yeah. And lettuce and tomato as well. I did a report on another platform about, I can't remember whether it was Missouri, I can't remember which state it was in America, but I can find the video for next time, where they were saying, is this real? Are we going to be going to the grocery store, to the refrigerator, to pick up lettuces and tomatoes that could be injected with mRNA? And going back quickly to what you said, Cheryl, just a minute ago, you know, let's not forget, for COVID, in the Moderna shot, if you had somebody in the waiting room waiting for the jab, one was for a Pfizer and one was for the Moderna, Cheryl, shock everybody with the different doses that those two people will have had through two different injections.
Yeah, so the Pfizer, you get 30 micrograms of mRNA. With the Moderna, you get 100, so it's 3.3 times the amount. And of course, the lipid nanoparticles that are toxic to humans, you get more of those if you get more mRNA to surround it. And if you think about the children's dose, it's 10 micrograms in the Pfizer, but it's 25 in the Moderna, which is nearly the same as the adult.
I want to tie in as well this to Oxford, which Sandi can then chip into as well, because in Oxford, of course, we've got Stargate project, Larry Ellison, who pretty much bought half of Oxford, who's going to be manufacturing in 48 hours through artificial intelligence cancer vaccines, which and I've been saying, I said last week, what is going on in Oxford? You know, why are the people of Oxford not stepping up? Because we've got all of this going on here. Sandi, I mean, Cheryl, thank you for that. Sandi, what the heck is going on? Because all of these are being manufactured by Moderna in the UK. We seem to be a global lab rat.
We are, and all our universities are captured because they all get funded by big institutions like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So, I mean, it's just happening to all these institutions. And yeah, I don't know how we fight this. I really don't. I mean, it's almost like it's playing whack-a-mole. And you know, the fact that Canterbury, again a university town, Oxford, Cambridge were all hit with the 15-minute cities. All of this is not by mistake; it's by design. And yeah, we've got big problems with all of this. Yeah, I don't really understand, you know, why. I suppose why. I mean, there's some really good comments in the chat. There was someone said that, you know, in America now that it's actually being challenged with the bioweapon. Why is that not happening here? I mean, why haven't we got any kickback, a lawful kickback on the fact that it is a bioweapon? Do you know, Cheryl, if anything's happening on that front?
No, I mean, the thing is, it was a global rollout happening all at the same time. Didn't matter where you were.
Yeah.
We're only looking at our own little place. We're not looking at what's happening everywhere else. But if America comes up with some challenges that work, then the rest of the world's got to start taking notice of it. Surely. You know, it's like the chemtrails. They've banned them from 5 states already, and they're working on 30 odd more. So, you know, things can change, and it might be other countries we have to learn from. But we're captured, and you see, people have had this promotion, haven't they? Used to be 1 in 3 got cancer, now it's 1 in 2. So when you get it, you think, oh, I'm one of the 1 in 2, and you accept it because you're told that you're likely to get it.
Well, it gets into your mindset that you're going to get this, you know, and we are being treated like lab rats. We really are. If you look at the way it's almost as though the whole planet's a laboratory. And they've got their playbook, and they're just treating us like you know, like we are lab rats.
Well, the world is run by psychopaths and paedophiles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's another anomaly, you know, is that the cancer statistic, the NHS are telling you it's 1 in 4. You keep seeing 1 in 2. Sorry, you keep seeing 1 in 2, 1 in 2. But actually, the World Economic Forum and the WHO, neither of which I've got any time for, but both of they say it's 1 in 4. So I've been asking the NHS for ever pretty much is like, well, who's wrong? Who's right? Because you seem to be telling our population, once you start putting that thought into people's head, it becomes normalized and people think, oh, well, that must be right. And they don't question it. So there's another anomaly in data.
Yeah, and that's why the work we're all doing, I mean, everybody in this, I call it a movement. I don't know what it is, but it's we, you know, at least we're challenging it and people are listening. I mean, it might be slow, but gradually, I mean, I even just amongst my friends who, some of them jabbed, some of them not, but the jabbed ones, most of them regret it. They really do. And I'm sure that this is something that people now understand. They think, well, I won't be doing that again. Let's just hope. We need mass non-compliance with this whole vaccination.
I think we need people to realise that what's coming through the pipeline is still mRNA, because they seem to have lost sight of that. And I think the message is that you need to know that these are not vaccines, but they're more likely to be these biologics like mRNA, because everything's coming through mRNA.
And it changes your DNA. It's not a vaccine at all. A vaccine was a little bit of something that was the problem, that you build up your antibodies. That doesn't work now anymore. It's not building your antibodies. It's actually destroying your DNA and your ability to fight disease. So yeah, it's all inversion, isn't it? It's all the opposite of what.
Yeah, and there are some brilliant remarks in the chat. You know, we are a farm. We are being farmed.
There's a psychology though, and we saw it very, very prominently in 2020, especially in this country, and that is that we don't like to offend anybody. That's really embedded hard now in society, especially in the youngsters. You know, that we're very much taken over by the left. You know, and I'm a lefty. I am a lefty in terms of my stance, in terms of love for other people and the empathic nature I have. But it's gone way too far where people have forgotten how to stand up for themselves, how to have their own. You know, it's always looking for the way out, isn't it? In looking to your peers. We're taught as kids. I remember as a kid being taught that you've got people around you that are really important. Your teacher, your pastor, your doctor, your scientist, your politician, and none of them hold any credit anymore. None of them do. Yeah. You know, and we have to look after ourselves. We you know, and this is why it is important what you guys are doing, because you're getting the word out, and it might be slow, but it is trickling through the psyche. The problem is you're up against the psyche of I don't want to offend somebody, or I don't want to cause a problem in my peer situation. And we saw that so much in 2020. That's, you know, like us guys that would have stood up, got attacked and vilified by our own family members and our own friends. People don't want to do that. They're scared of that. So they kind of go along with it. But this is why it's important what you guys are doing. And Sandi, you've got some information regarding agentic AI in farmers, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I did do. I haven't done this on my channel. Oh, by the way, I've got a new channel. It's 2030 and Beyond with Sandi Adams, and I did interview Cheryl. So do look at that if anybody's watching. It's called. I'm on YouTube, and obviously it's on X as well. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because people might want to pick up on the work Cheryl's been doing. We did do a really good deep dive into that. But yes, agentic AI, this is something I will be covering. I did cover it previously when I was working on a column. But basically, the agentic AI is not like a lot of people haven't heard that term. It's not like any other normal AI. It's actually it's where the whole idea of AI is at the moment it serves us. We use it. It's useful. You know, you can use it to put documents through and check them or whatever you might want to do with it. But agentic AI is very different, and it's actually it was launched at the WEF at Davos in 2025. And it was a collaboration of the Global Gov Tech Board between Ukraine and Germany. And it was coordinated in Kiev and Berlin. So I believe this is what Ukraine was all about. It's about really bringing in the massive tech. This kind of really made me think, because it was put out by Ukraine's Ministry of Digital Transformation, and if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, I don't know what will. And so basically, we're about to hand our decision making over to AI, and this is autonomous artificial intelligence systems making decisions for us, and this is at the moment being planned and is being implemented into the UK for the civil service, the NHS, education, social care and policing. And this is quite scary, because the shift is that instead of serving humans, it's obeying AI-driven autonomy. So basically the AI is in charge. And it's the end of human agency at the end of the day. And this is so awful, because accountability disappears. So there's nobody held accountable for any decisions that are made, because it's a machine. Who can take a machine to court? No one. And so if they screw up, then there's no accountability. And people will no longer feel, responsible for their own actions, because basically the moral judgment has been outsourced to a machine. So the authority is transferred, to this kind of unaccountable body of AI. And now it's interesting, because I was researching this, and they called it, the GovTech board have a white paper, and it's called the Agentic State. And I looked at this white paper, but as I was looking it up, I typed into Google the Agentic State, and I realized that it was a term used in 1961 when Stanley Milgram was doing his experiments. And Debi, I'm sure you know about Stanley Milgram in 1961, and it was experiments on how people appeal to authority and will do anything, and they will lose their moral compass if somebody in authority is telling them to do something. And basically, they wired people up to machines, and they were given that somebody was standing in front of them with a white coat and a clipboard, and they were telling them to there was somebody else who was with the guy in the white coat, and they were telling him to ramp up the electric shocks to this other person. And it was, keep ramping it up because I'm telling you to do it. And people would carry on ramping up the electric shocks to the point where it would have killed them. It was all fake, but it was all actors. But if this was real, the person would have died. So these experiments were really about how people will give over their agency to an authority figure, even if they know they might be killing someone, or they know they might be harming someone. And it's called the agentic state, where you give up your agency to an authority figure, because then you don't feel responsible. It's not up to you, it's up to them. And so your sense of moral compass goes completely. And it's a very interesting, but he called it the agentic state. And this is no coincidence, because this is exactly what they're doing. They're handing it over to and actually he did say the agentic state is a condition in which a person sees himself as an agent for carrying out the wishes of another person, and therefore no longer regards himself as responsible for his actions. That was in 1974. He wrote a paper called From Obedience to Authority. And that just about sums it up. It's just, it's awful. Yeah.
So Sandi, I've done a bit of work on AGI as well, and agentic AI. And what I was shocked at is I watched a video on it, and it would be like, I've woken up this morning and it's your birthday. Only I've got an AI agent, my PA, that works for me. And you've got your AI agent that works for you. So when I wake up in the morning, my AI agent says to me, oh, Sandi's AI agent says she'll be free at 10 o'clock, so you can wish her happy birthday. And don't worry, I know what Sandi's AI agent has told me that she'd like for her birthday, and I've ordered it for her. So, you know, if all of these things will be done through your AI agent, but also your AI agent will be tracking you, tracing you, and monitoring you, stealing your emotions, stealing your thoughts. If you've maybe broken the speed limit, or you haven't complied with something and it's affected your social credit score, your AI agent will stop you or prohibit you from accessing work or the supermarket or whatever. So this AI agents, we first started off with websites, right, where we could type, and people would say, you know, the banks would say, go to the website. And then websites became apps, and they don't go to the website, go to the app, because you can speak into the apps, you can swipe into the apps, you can type into the apps. So we've gone from websites to apps, and I've been saying forever, scrap the app trap. And this is where we're heading now, this agentic AI. I mean, how scary do you think this agentic AI is? Because I think it's terrifying, potentially.
It really is terrifying. And it's interesting because I did a talk at in Stroud on this, on agentic AI. And the guy who was doing the tech there had just been to a conference in Heathrow, in one of those big hotels at Heathrow, on the advancement of AI to help him with his work, you know, because he's a filmmaker. And he said that all of the people there were absolutely horrified at what is coming in the future, because he had no idea. And he said that, you know, I was speaking about this and similar things I was saying that you were saying, where actually you do have this agent, this kind of AI agent that sorts your life out for you. And he was saying that it's chilling. It's so dystopian that all of them were in shock when they came out of that conference and thinking, we don't want this. And these are tech guys who usually love all this stuff. They didn't like it at all. They found it really satanic, really, really worrying. And you know, the thing is that how do we get through? Because everybody's addicted to these things, including myself, actually. Not addicted, but I have to use it for work. But maybe there has to be a time when we don't comply with the apps. You're right. The apps are the problem. The minute you hook into an app or take a QR code, you're hooked. That's it. You're in that system. And we've got to figure out some way. And I'm talking to these tech guys saying, look, let's figure out another way of doing things, because this is really not good. This is going to a very, very dark place. Yeah.
Dystopian future for humanity.
Yeah.
It's been written in many sci-fi novels and films over the years. You know, it's predictive programming is out there, and we're walking straight into it, unfortunately. But all we can keep doing is keep putting the awareness out there, and I do believe in the human spirit. My gut feeling on this is that humanity is going to have a fall, but humanity will rise again. But I mean, will we see it in our lifetime? I don't know, but we've got to keep putting it out there as best as we possibly can, because it is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
But isn't it a bit like me saying about the genetic treatments and what have you? They're bitten off more than they can chew. So you've got digital centres, haven't you? You've got all this water and electric that they need to run everything and what have you. It's not going to happen because we haven't got the facility to be able to keep that going if everybody has this on the planet. So, yeah, I think there'll be a reduction because it'll be limited. But you know, perhaps that's me being naive. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely part of the agenda, the transhumanists.
Yeah.
And these people that are pushing this stuff are transhumanists, aren't they? They're very much anti-human, the anti-God, whatever you want to say that is. You know, they're not interested in the growth of humanity. There's a literal darkness that seems to be going.
I mean, they even call it the post-human world. This is what people like Noah Yuval Harari, says that the future will be a non-biological world. not even humans, but anything biological. They want. They're mad, and it's a death cult, and it's Malthusian. It's death cult, and we've got to do as much as we can to oppose it and to try and bring more humanity back to our lives, you know, and encourage children. I mean, I've got a friend whose grandson is coming over from Norway for the summer, and she said, I'm going to take your phone away. We're going down to Cornwall, and we're going to swim and surf and have picnics and sit around campfires and with all the other children, and we're going to get rid of our phones for the summer. We need more of that. We need kids to be able to just ditch their devices for a while and see the difference in the quality of their lives, what happens to them.
I don't take my phone out with me, you know. I call it an immobile phone because I love the feeling of being, and my car hasn't got a sat nav, so and you're out and you're not interrupted by text, you're not interrupted by emails or anything like that. So that's my first step, is that I've now made the mobile phone immobile. But going back to what you said very quickly, because I know that we're coming up for time, or probably a little bit over time, but Jared Kushner, Peter Thiel, all of these transhumanists, all of them. But I've been reading and watching, I don't know if you've heard of him, Hugo de Garis, and he wrote a book called The Artilect War. And what he said was that he could see coming up in the future was, it's like 3 camps. It's like it does actually say in the abstract 3 camps. So I think we can't all be wrong. He says there's going to be 3 sectors of society. Number 1 is the Terrans, which are the likes of you and me, that want to keep the human species alive, that want to move forward for humanity. Then there's the Terrans, and then there's the Cosmists, who are all into AI and everything cosmic and wanting to be fully integrated into the AI world. And then there's the third group in the middle, who are the cyborgs, who are the ones that want a few little bit of maybe medical enhancements, or maybe they want to be invisible or have a chip to be able to speak in 20 million languages. So you've got these 3 groups, the Terrans, the cyborgs and the Cosmists. And what he says is that the Terrans will become smaller and smaller as a group as more people, the younger people, move forward into cyborg and Cosmists. But he sees this as the big war coming forward in that, and I agree, because I can see this fusion of machinery, robots, AI, and I think it's for people of our generation, we see what the youngsters are like, and we just want to say, put your phones down, please. Go and have a drink in Ant's pub, and don't take your phone with you, and enjoy a conversation. Don't rely, all of them sit there on their phones.
Yeah.
It is about remembering who we truly are, and I've always said this. You know, that human beings are very special, and we forget. You know, that what we're really about. We forget, and they're wanting to dumb us down further. We're already dumbed down anyway, because this has been going on a long time, and we're already dumbed down. But it's going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes on. But there's something very, very special within each and every human being. And once you connect to that and you feel what that is, it don't matter how dumb you are, because the human spirit will fight. It will fight through it. And that's where the rebellion comes. And part of the rebellion of me coming into the pub game, as you know, is to create a space for joy, happiness and human contact, because they don't want that. Hence why 2 pubs are shutting every day in the UK at the moment.
Yeah.
They don't want people connecting. They don't want people coming together. But this is we've got to do what we can to be a community centre, be at your local church, be at the park, whatever. Stand in the Park was fantastic during that period in 2020, because people needed to come together. They want us isolated, and they want to inject us with these toxic MHRA, non-mRNA nonsense, and then. It's a transhumanist agenda. That's the darkness of it. But we are much better and brighter than they are. Yeah. Hence why they are doing what they're doing. So we've got to continue shining the light, guys. And this is what you lot are doing, and we've got to keep doing it. Humanity is on a very, very much on a cliff edge right now. And either we're going to fall and take our grandkids with us and our kids with us, or we're going to stand up together and push back.
We're gonna turn it around, because we have to, and And that is that wonderful creative thing about human beings. We'll find a way. We'll find a way somehow.
We will find a way, because we, like you said, we're very creative. Yeah. We are. It's natural. It's natural in us. It's natural in us. We're not going to put up with it for too long.
Yeah.
There's a lot more of us, isn't there? There's a lot more of us.
Yeah.
We're in Charlie.
We'll have to come up and have a
white horse.
Yeah.
The white horse. Yeah. You must.
The white horse in Chorley. Right. Let's all go.
All on a jaunt.
As most people know, because we have come to the end of the show, me and Debbie always play a funny at the end. So stay with us, Sandi and Cheryl, because we always throw some ridiculous.
In very quickly that I'm in Goffinland in Devon, in Exeter, on the 14th of Thursday, this coming Thursday. Not this Thursday, sorry, next Thursday, 14th, with Emma Dunwell. She's hosting it. And we're also at Stand in the Light Festival on the the weekend of the 23rd and 24th. Just a bit of a plug there. 22nd to the 25th of May it is, yeah.
All good stuff. These meetings and this all needs to carry on.
Meeting in physically.
Absolutely, but let's not forget ourselves either, because these paths that we choose to go on can be quite dark in themselves, and they can affect your mental health, or you can find yourself down in rabbit holes and everything else, and it can be really difficult, especially if you're isolated. So meeting people is really important. Don't forget to have fun during all this as well.
I mean, we're a lovely meeting locally, and it's been a godsend to a lot of people, because when they couldn't speak to anybody, they eventually found us. And we get very deep, but we also get a laugh as well. And we've got to know each other quite well. And a lot of people rely on it. So we'll just keep it going for as long as we can. But,
humans need humans.
Humans need humans. We're social creatures. We need it. And support your local pubs. 2 are shutting every day in the UK at the moment. Even if you go for a soda water, go and have a chat to somebody. Check on your local community. Go to your local pub. It's important, because if we lose this tradition, because it's part of the agenda, as we want to remove culture and tradition, so we have no identity anymore. Once these traditions have gone and once these pubs have gone, they'll not come back. So get out there and just, I know pints are expensive, but just have one maybe. Go and have a chat.
Have a half.
Have a half. Have a half.
Well, and I think it's brilliant you've got a pub. I wish I'd never let go of mine. I let it go in 2020 when I was faced with bankruptcy virtually, but never mind.
Yeah, I know that feeling only too well, Sandi, and it was a tough time to have a pub for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a tough time to have a pub now. They're literally, the bills are ridiculous. I mean, as you know what it's like, Sandi. You know what it's like. You work every hour that God sends, and I think I took out £700 for the month for me, for our family, because at the end of the day, you got so many outgoings. You probably do 70, 80 hours a week work.
Oh yeah.
It's great fun as well.
Yeah.
Great.
The people make it.
Absolutely. Everyone up to the White Horse at Chorley.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah, you must do.
Fantastic.
And can I send a link for my new Substack so that people might have a chance of reading it? Yeah.
Absolutely, we'll put that in the description, Cheryl. Absolutely. So we'll end the show on a bit of a song. It's an old classic. You used to like Wham, didn't you, in the 80s? You like Wham?
Oh God, I like a bit of Wham.
Oh,
George Michael.
White tight shorts.
Well, here we go. Enjoy.
Can't hear it.
I can't hear it either.
No.
Oh, that's funny though.
Oh. Ugh.